Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the I Believe podcast. Today I am joined by Heather McMenamin, and she is a patient with ocular melanoma who was gracious enough to come on and tell her story. So, Heather, can you just tell us a little about where are you originally from and where do you live now?
I'm from England and I have lived in the States for about 36 years, currently residing in Houston, Texas.
Wonderful. So, do you happen to know Dr. Harbour in that area?
No.
Okay, he just barely moved out there, so I just was
Oh,
curious.
yeah, do not know that doctor.
So, when were you diagnosed with ocular melanoma? What year?
I was diagnosed September 29th, 21. So I have just gone over my 2-year anniversary of diagnosis.
2 years, my goodness. It goes super fast.
It sure
In some
does.
ways, and slow
In
in
some
others, I'm
ways.
sure. Yeah, in some ways. So can you just tell us, what happened leading up to your diagnosis?
Yeah, so I do wear glasses, so I take care of my eyes and have an annual eye exam. Um, of course, we had COVID, and so it turns out I thought I'd missed a year, but I actually missed about 18 months when I went for this checkup. I was asymptomatic, had no symptoms whatsoever. The biggest thing I was thinking about, should I get new frames and which one should I pick out and all that good stuff.
Which is a huge
And
debate, right?
yeah, I was like, ooh. And so I went in and I noticed the tech was having a difficult time imaging my left eye. She just kept moving things around and couldn't seem to get a good look at it somehow. So anyway, I went into the optometrist after she'd done her various tests and whatnot and taken not dilation but the picture of the back of the eye. I've always had dilation and or the photo of the back of the eye for years, for as long as I can remember actually. And he asked if I was having any problems. I said none at all. And he looked at the right eye first, which was my good eye, and then he brought up the picture of my left eye, and I could see this quite large black area, and it scared me. So he said, you have a choroidal nevus. He didn't mention anything else, but he said you need to see a retina specialist as soon as you can. We need to get this looked at. So I was able to get an appointment the very next morning, pretty early in the morning, to a retina specialist in the same facility. And I had my eyes dilated, and the doctor came in, and he really didn't spend very much time at all. He looked in both eyes, and then he said, this is out of my realm, you need to see an ocular oncologist. He still didn't give me any diagnosis of any kind, but just said you need to do that. So, of course, I was very nervous. I work in healthcare, and I know what an oncologist means, and I feel very fortunate because I got an appointment the following Wednesday, which would have been 1 week from when I had my initial eye exam. Dr. Schefler is an ocular oncologist here in Houston who is amazing. My husband was out of town with business, so a best friend came with me to the appointment, thank goodness, because I said, I don't need anybody to come, I'll be fine. But it was a 4 or 5 hour appointment, which they told me it would be. There's lots of testing that you have at that appointment. And then Dr. Scheffler came in at the end of everything and, told me I had uveal melanoma. I had about they call it really medium size tumor. It's like 13 by 5, 13.5 and then 2.5 in height, right on my optic nerve in my left eye. So it was pretty quick. It was very quick after that of going and getting a lot of pre-op testing. She explained I was going to have brachytherapy here in Houston. It was actually going to be scheduled, so now we were September 29th. It was going to be scheduled for November 1st, just in order to get all of pre-op blood work done. I needed to have an MRI scan to see if there was any metastasis, which is spread anywhere else in my body, and various other testing that I needed to get. And I had to meet with I forget what they're called, but the people that are making the plaque and everything.
I think it's the radiation
team.
Radiation oncologist or the radiation oncology team.
So all of that, but it was very quick moving. You're having this, and I maybe I'm a rarity in some ways because I absolutely didn't Google anything. I did not go on the computer and look at what this was. I did not look for any support. I didn't look for anything. I just followed direction. I went, at that time, actually went to Methodist Hospital, is where Dr. Schefler, was working out of, and had the brachytherapy put in, and it was in for 7 days. So I came home and just, stayed away from everybody, stayed very low key. And it wasn't, it was uncomfortable. And it's kind of strange to think back about that time. But so I had that done. And then and they did a biopsy. I came back with the most aggressive kind, so very high risk for metastasis. We, in our family, 28 is my number that I bow down to and praise to because I have 28% chance of no Mets. So we just worship 28 all the time.
I love that.
Yeah,
gotta find the things somewhere, right?
You gotta find the things. Numbers. Every time I see it everywhere, we get that number on a table when we're getting our food. We're like, it's a sign. It's just funny what you do. But so that wasn't good news. But so I'm on a 90-day, 3-month scan-in protocol. I actually will get results tomorrow for my ones that I just had done. So I wish I could be here and actually be saying everything's good for 90 days. And I think that's it as far as just
that seems like it covers the initial diagnosis and kind of getting you to where you are today. Mm-hmm. So when you got that biopsy result, what was that? What was that like for you initially?
It was hard. It was actually very hard. I'm trying to think how long after I got those results, but it probably was about 6 weeks later.
Okay, so that seems to track. I think it's pretty rare to get it any sooner than a month out.
Yeah,
after you have brachytherapy.
Yeah, and it was really. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, were you able to retain vision?
Yes.
That's so cool because it was right on your optic nerve, right?
Right, touching the optic nerve. But just flicking back a little bit, the day that the 6 weeks after when they told me about the results of the biopsy it felt exactly the same as the day I was told I had ocular melanoma. I dealt with that, and then you're moving so quickly, and you have the surgery, and then you do your recovery. And then all of a sudden I'm fine. Now I'm driving again. I'm starting to do my running or yoga again and feeling like everything's just fine. And I still hadn't gone on Google yet. I was waiting until I met with the medical oncologist and wait until everything was done before I ever went onto the internet. So then when, I got that, it was like a big smack in the face. I was like, okay, I just got back on my feet and started working out and started feeling like myself again, and now I've got the most aggressive kind. So it was tough, actually, that one. But yeah.
Oh, I get that. I remember that feeling well. Like it was really tough. It felt like you said. It felt exactly like the first time when you got the diagnosis. It was like it just happened all over again, like deja vu.
Yeah. So that was tough time. But so far, my eyesight to me isn't really noticeable that it's degenerating like it is. And when I go in and they cover my right eye, then I can tell. But my right eye is compensating so much. And I just did a vision test on that. And, well, actually, both eyes hadn't really changed from the previous year. So I guess my eyesight is still It's okay. We have just gone to having the eye injections every 4 weeks. I've just had my second one of that.
So, with the eye injections, do you feel like that's something that is just kind of a normal part of your medical routine now, or do you wish that you didn't have to deal with that?
Well,
I know
I would
sometimes
like,
that's kind of a debate for people.
yeah, I would like to not have to deal with it. I know many of the ocular oncologists have a lot of different feelings about it. Dr. Schefler personally likes to wait until if she sees a little retinopathy in the back, that's when she starts. Some doctors start them from day one, but she doesn't. For her, and I mean, I agree with her. She doesn't want her patients to be coming in every month. Some travel a long way, whatever, if they don't have to. So, I mean, she is pretty much on my doorstep, so that part of it isn't difficult. But it is one more thing. It's like, okay, here's 4 weeks again. But I think she's also, and hopefully, very honest with, we wait and see. It doesn't work for everybody, does work for some. So I think we've got to give it a little time and see how I deal with it, see if it's making any difference, and take it from there, really.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think that's great. It seems like you have a pretty open communication with Dr. Scheffler, which I think is a powerful thing to have with your doctor.
Yeah.
So let's kind of switch gears a little bit. What are some of the things that you struggle with now? Like has, vision change, scanxiety, like, what are some of the things you feel like have changed the most and impacted you?
Right. So I do have one word, and then I can go but the one word since diagnosis is uncertainty. It's uncertainty every day, I want to go back, but it doesn't consume my life. I really don't think it consumes my life. But there isn't a day goes by that I do not think about it. Or you wake up and your eye is a little irritated, or maybe it is a bit blurrier, or you're going to get your scans next week, or your eye injections, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you're on, one of our great groups, but you see good news on there and lots of stories, or hear some bad news. So uncertainty is what really sums up how it's changed. I have, it's with driving for sure. I was a very confident driver, and I love to be I love to drive. Wasn't one that said I'll be the passenger. And I'm still fine with driving in the daytime. However, I think even if it was in a place that I'm not familiar with, I wouldn't be comfortable. But nighttime driving, I avoid it at all cost. I suppose I don't avoid it. Well, I do. But I wouldn't mind so much where I really know where I'm going and very local. But that's taken away quite a big thing of confidence. It really has, that you just felt so independent. And now I feel like, I would never go out and come home late from somewhere, So it changes that kind of thing, for sure.
Yeah. You mentioned like running and yoga. So do you still pursue running and yoga? And have you felt like your balance has changed? I know like some patients report their balance has changed a lot if they have vision changes. So, and I think that what I've gleaned from kind of the vestibular community and the balance community is the idea that actually doesn't have to do with just your eyesight alone. It's the combination of your eyesight and your ears and your hearing. Right. And if you have a lack of hearing and you're also losing vision, that can cause balance issues.
Yes.
But it's interesting. So anyway, I just am curious, do you notice that at all for you, or you feel like you're okay?
I think I could do a little with some of our balancing poses. The yoga I do, we do a little bit of that, but we do a lot of other things too. I also do get plantar fasciitis, and that's because I run probably. But so I never really know if my balance is off because of my eye or because my feet are hurting and it's just hard to balance. So I'm not really sure.
28% chance it's either one. We don't know which one.
Yeah.
Exactly. Could go either way. I'm just making that up, but I'm just going off your number.
Yeah, exactly. But I do running and yoga are my just go-tos where I'm only competing against myself if I'm competing. I don't want to do anything where I'm competing with anyone else, so it's only my own judgment. My yoga community and studio, and it's just, I just am so thankful I have it. You know, I think I'd been a member there maybe 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. It opened 2 years before I was diagnosed, and I've been there 2 years since, and it's a great place. And then we have a great place to run here in Houston, so I get up early and do my run and see the sunrise, and I love it. So
Oh, I love that.
yeah.
So this sounds like this is maybe an avenue of, you know, something that has supported you through your diagnosis to, you know, lean into your physical activity like yoga, running. So aside from physical activity and just leaning into that, or, you know, you're welcome to expound on that a little more. What are some of the other things that have been of support to you during your diagnosis?
Friends and family, neighbor. I mean, I really am. I don't want to get emotional. I'm so grateful. I really am. I do consider myself a lucky one, you know. It's, you know, unlucky that we got this, but I have so many people and avenues and areas to go. You know, my immediate family. We live here in Houston. There's just our little parties, me, my husband, my son and daughter. You know, other family is overseas or on the East Coast and whatever, but just so much support from everybody around. So I'm so grateful for that. And that's, I don't know, not everybody has that. So that's one thing I like to try, you know, be on the groups that we have, the various different Facebook groups and whatever we have, to support anyone and help people that have this. And not everybody has somebody, which I just cannot imagine, honestly.
No, I think that's so powerful. And I think that it's, that to me it kind of segues into our next question of just, you know, what are some of the good things that have come of this diagnosis for you, and some of the gifts. And it sounds like one of the gifts is that you have been given so much support that you have a desire to give that support, and that has been a positive thing for you.
Yeah, it's just, I am grateful. I really am grateful. And I always say it's a tiny little good that comes out of being diagnosed with something, you know, like that is, I think my husband and I, we always did kind of put life before, serious with our jobs, but life was always first. We do like to enjoy life and have a good time. But it's really, you know, put that into the foreground, that it's just the most important thing. Every day, you know, time is so precious. And yeah, I just feel so grateful for all the things I've done so far. I mean, even you yourself are a lot younger than I am. I don't want to go anywhere yet, don't get me wrong, but you know, it's I don't know, I've just done a lot, seen a lot, and still have a lot I want to do and see. But I'm just grateful for all the things, the things that are out there to help me, the support groups that once I did get onto the internet and find groups, thank goodness I did. You know, it's just, they're just amazing help and support there too. So, but it gives you, I know there's so many people say nobody's promised tomorrow and anything can happen, but there's a difference. There's a big difference with a diagnosis, that when you wake up and the uncertainty again of just never knowing what that next scan may say, or if you might wake up and you may not, you know, yourself, I know you had a nucleation, but, you know, just that your eyesight goes and it's part of your face. And so it's something that you look in a mirror and see.
Yeah, it's a visible difference, and it's one of the five senses. I mean, there's so many pieces of eyesight that are absolutely like important to how we perceive the world and how the world perceives us, we could argue even.
Right.
And I think that can make a big impact. So have you noticed, well, let's, I don't want to get off track, sorry. What is something that you would tell someone else who is brand new to this diagnosis? Maybe they just found out, maybe they're listening to the podcast first. Let's hope they haven't Googled yet.
I would, yeah. I mean, if people do, they do, but I just think it can just send you on. There's just so much out there, and you can get really
Well, there's a lot that
overwhelmed.
happens. There's a lot that
Yeah,
happens in the beginning of the diagnosis that
yeah.
sometimes, I mean, it's not that the internet is a bad thing,
No,
but
it's
it's
not.
more just like when is the most appropriate time to go searching for that information, and when do you have the capacity to deal with it and sit with
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Because, like you said, it's kind of a whirlwind the first couple of months, and so the time to sit with that is minimal.
yeah. So I really would tell the one thing I would tell someone is after you've hopefully got set up with your doctors, or of course if you couldn't find doctors, that because not everyone's as fortunate as myself, where I actually have a couple in Houston, you know. But I would say go to a Cure Insight, you know, somewhere where there's just such good resources, and from there then there's other groups. Just because there's just so much information and it's from patients, you know, and some caregivers too, but people that are actually dealing with it and really know. We'll all go through it a little differently. We've all got a different situation with family, whatever, different ages. But you know, we're all going through it, and we can relate, and we can help that person because the questions that you ask, you can at least give some advice or point them in the right direction. So for me, it really would be to probably go to a Cure Insight actually and just start there with some information and get some answers, you know. Yeah.
Oh, I love that, and I think that that's a good point. And I promise we're not we're not bribing Heather to say this.
No, I
um,
mean, I wrote my own little notes and I thought about that question and I just thought, no, that's what I would do. I don't know, because we're all so different, you know, the way I internalize mine, or I could say, yes, I've said already, I do think about it at some point every day. It's never gone, but it doesn't consume it. I don't get depressed about it. I don't have to go and talk to someone about it. But that wouldn't be good advice to give somebody else. I don't know how they deal with stress or who they've got to lean on. You know, maybe it's because I do have a good support system, or maybe it's just my
oh,
personality
that makes a big
can.
deal.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be able to give that kind of advice. So I think going to a Cure Insight where there's a good number of us that can give some good advice and or send them in the right direction for ocular oncologist, medical oncologist, you know, different things that are out there should you have METs and different, you know, all kinds of stuff. So that would
Yeah.
be what I would do.
Well, and if people go to our website as well, if they go to acureinsight.org and then head to newly diagnosed, there should be a section where they can actually find our physician finder. And so if they are, like you said, if they are struggling to locate someone who can offer treatment, then they can actually search their zip code. You can search I think you can search city and state,
Right.
just to get a better idea of who is the closest doctor to you. Because you know you could be somewhere in the West Coast, somewhere in the Midwest, and you may not have to travel clear to the other side of the country or to a totally different eye center. I mean, obviously there's some very well established eye centers in various parts of the country, but they're not the only ones accessible to you.
Right.
And so we hope that that physician finder can be helpful on the website, in
Yeah.
addition to talking to other patients, like you said.
Yeah. And sometimes you want a second opinion. You may have
Yeah.
someone you like and it's great, but at the same point you still just want to. So I just think it's not a plug at all. I just think it is what I would tell someone new. I think it's the best place to go to get. And that may have been, well, I was fortunate. I was fortunate with who I have, and she is well renowned, and everything's been okay on this end. But otherwise, maybe I would have been tapping away saying, I need help.
Well, we are glad you did eventually come to the internet and find us.
Yeah.
So how have you learned to advocate for yourself this last couple of years?
So the biggest thing, again, I know I keep saying I'm grateful and fortunate, but I really am, because we're in a position, my husband really kind of convinced me to, I was working full time, and, he like either quit or go. So I do 2 days a week. I can pick up any shifts I need if I want, or if they need me, but I work 2 days a week. And also have the freedom because I have awesome director and people where I work that support this again, so I can take time off too. I'm not stuck to my 2 days a week. And then, so last year was I finished my full-time job, but then I went back to the UK for 3 months, and there was two reasons. I hadn't been for a couple of years. I try to go annually or every 18 months. Actually, it may have been close to 3 years because of COVID. And then I got diagnosed. And so I wanted to go and see all of my family and spend a lot longer than 2 weeks trying to rush around and see everybody. But my job allowed me to do that. I was able to take that much time and go over there and spend that time. I did a yoga retreat in Scotland, which was amazing. And that was something I'd never done a retreat before. And just friends and family over there that, I don't see as much. So, so I don't know if that's, you said kind of advocate, but that's one thing I've kind of changed and done. And then the other thing is, if doctors are unaware, which, they're great doctors and whatever, but they may be unaware of the protocol or a good protocol for scanning for us. So I talked to the medical doctors about that, about our scan protocol and MRI versus CT. It's the better modality for finding this, and it's no radiation. That's one of my big things. So, so that's really, the other thing is just, I work with the public, so I don't bring it up because I don't want to talk about my cancer. I'm actually dealing with patients. I do mammography, so they're coming in to get a breast exam. But if they bring it up, sometimes they're saying, I'm going to get my eyes tested today too. And I say, what else you haven't done? So the other thing is just, all friends and family, of course, know this, and they spread it or, help to spread the word, but awareness for eye exams and having dilation or the photo, whatever the name, but the photo of the back of the eye, getting that taken is the most important thing. So that's the way I advocate, is with the doctors and letting other patients know about the protocols and getting awareness out there, really.
I think that's so powerful. So what is something that, like maybe a belief that you've adopted since being thrust into all of this uncertainty that has helped you in navigating your diagnosis?
I say live your best life every day. I mean, just every day. I cannot change the outcome. There are things, we know there's things you can do, maybe with diet, maybe with supplements. I don't want to say you, but in some ways I feel we really can't change the outcome. None of us can really, a life, And then I also have to tell myself I didn't cause this. I don't know why I was the unlucky lottery winner of ocular melanoma, 1 in a million or it's 6 out of 6 in a million in the United States. But here we are, right? So, I mean, I'm a pretty low-key person anyway, and don't let my feathers get ruffled too much. But it's way less now. I mean, it's so much less now. I just drive in, you can go in front of me, grocery line, you can go in front of me. I mean, there's so much.
Sometimes it's just not worth the energy it takes to explain it, right?
No,
I mean, it's not like when you're driving, it's not like you're going to explain to someone, well, I have poor eyesight on this side, I'm sorry. Like, and same within the grocery store, if you run into them, it's just like, oops, I'm sorry. Like,
sorry.
That happened.
So don't sweat the small stuff.
Don't sweat the small stuff, yeah.
And then just live your best life every day. I mean, just be kind and embrace everything you can and spend time with, I just think you just spend time, but it's just spend time with who you love, who you want to be with, and doing things you want to do. I mean, I don't want to spend time doing things I don't want to do.
Yeah, that's such a good point. So what do you want other people to take away, like, the most from hearing your story?
So awareness, I mean, just I wish there's a way that, as of course with mammograms, people, it's so much awareness about that. I mean, obviously our cancer is so rare, so there's not going to be the same amount of awareness. But if everyone I know can tell one other person or someone else, and it's just, trickle down the lane kind of thing. I mean, it's just everybody you tell is one other person. Everybody you say to get an annual eye exam, whether you wear glasses, don't get glasses, get your eyes dilated. I mean, so it just spreading awareness, honestly, is just, if we can do that, and anyone that listens to this just tell somebody else, that's, I think, some of the most we can do. Really?
Yeah, no, that's such a good way to put it. And I love what you said about this idea that when you tell one person, it will trickle down to, somebody else. They're going to tell someone and they're going to tell someone, just that kind of ripple effect. If you drop a pebble in the water, it doesn't just make a plop and then stop. There's a ripple. And
Right.
I think that it's telling, about the kind of person that you are, Heather, as a patient and just as an advocate for awareness. It's just telling that you see that possibility that, yes, you're 6 in a million, or one of 6 in a million, but that doesn't mean you're at all insignificant in this ability to make an impact. And I think that's so powerful that you have kind of gained that and seen that on your own.
Yeah, and it's I always love it when someone will text or tell me or whatever and say, I got my eye exam because of you today. I went and got it done.
Yeah, it makes you feel good. Like, makes
It
you feel
does
like
make you
something
feel good.
is changing.
Yeah. So, every time someone says that, or, they don't need to know everything about the cancer. It's just go and get an eye exam, tell people to get eye exams, tell people to get dilation. And, just the more awareness there can be, the more research that maybe can be done, the more money that can be put into that. So, yeah.
No, it is. I mean, it's very much a ripple effect everywhere. That idea that, yes, the awareness can go out and we can have people more aware, but also that effect of raising money, research, helping people be more aware so that research is happening and being funded at a higher rate.
Right.
And so you seem like someone who has really, despite the fact that maybe you didn't Google in the first few weeks or the first month or so, you seem like you've taken a lot of initiative to learn, and that knowledge around your own diagnosis has become very important to you. Do you feel like you could tell us, maybe why do you feel like that kind of having the knowledge has been impactful and helpful?
To help, it's to help myself, but it's to help others. It's just, again, if you go back to another cancer, I'm not at all trying to downplay any cancer, but sometimes in a room you can have a few. In my job you have a few people. I have 2 people I work with that have had breast cancer. Just co-workers, and we're a very small department. And so the more knowledge I can get on this and learn, because there isn't much. I don't want to say nothing, but there's very little out there for us. There's very little. So, I can go onto these different sites and learn as much as I can, listening to podcasts you've had on with different doctors and people, and then I can help to spread that or help support somebody else when a new person comes onto one of the groups and they want, as we call it, like a buddy. And just try to help people navigate and learn, get more knowledge really on it, because it's so rare. So many, people have just never heard, physicians included, they just have never heard of it. It's one of those crazy little ones out there.
Yeah, it is.
Lucky
You're right.
us.
So just in the realm of awareness, one of the ways that we can spread awareness, through, at least that we do through a Cure Insight, is, obviously we talk about eye exams, we talk about the importance of, what is ocular melanoma to begin with, and just, those social media kinds of posts. And I've seen you share those, so thank you for sharing those posts when you share those.
You're welcome.
But you're in the Houston area, so I wanted to highlight the walk that we have coming up. Are you planning on going to the Looking for a Cure Ocular Melanoma walk in Houston?
I am. So the Looking for a Cure Ocular Melanoma 5K is in Houston on December 10th, we believe, at Terry Hershey Park. There is a a website and scan codes and whatever to give you more information on it. I do have my own team, Astral, Astral 28. Astral is our run club. We run for Astral Bruin, and 28 is my lucky number. So
I
as
love
many
it.
people that could either donate or join the team would be wonderful. You can also join the team virtually for anyone that's in another place and not here in Houston, or you can donate. You don't have to run a 5K. You can walk leisurely or skip or jump or whatever you fancy doing, really. But
No,
it
I
would be
love it.
great to see people for that. And yeah, hopefully raise some
Yeah,
more
no,
money so we can get some more research done.
I love it. Thank you. So this, I'm going to put you on the spot really quick, and there's no right or wrong answer here. So, but I am wondering, have you joined the Insight Registry?
I think I have, but I can't give you a concrete answer. I think I have, and I have a note ever since you guys were in Seattle and talking about it a lot. And so it is on my to-do list, and I will do it for sure.
Love
But I
it.
think I started it, but I don't think I know it can
Well,
take
and
some
it's
time
kind of
to,
got a few pieces to it. There's
yeah,
various different pieces of, you sign up and you sign the consent forms, and then there's various different surveys that you can go through on your own time. So you probably just
yep,
haven't completed all of the surveys,
right.
which is totally fine. We all do those at different paces at different times. But I love that you've joined the registry, because that goes
Yes,
right into your idea that knowledge is important, and joining the registry as a patient is one of the biggest ways that you can make an impact for future research, because
right.
as our registry, the data matures, like we will be using this. It will be usable data from our natural history registry that is, like de-identified. So if anyone is listening and they're curious about the registry, it's de-identified. So that means that, they're never going to know it's Heather who lives in Texas. But they are going to be able to take insights from, whatever it is that you share on your registry surveys and any history that you share. So that's such a powerful way as a patient that you can make an impact in the awareness sphere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it. Okay. Well, to end, can you tell us, do you have a favorite song or maybe a favorite book that brings you just uplift, comfort? I mean, there's, again, no right or wrong answer here.
I do, and it's an older song, but it wasn't a song that was necessarily in my repertoire, but it must have come up when I was running. And so it's Take Me Home, Country Roads by John Denver. And even though it's about West Virginia, I grew up in the country, in a very small village in England, Matching Green. And so it used to make me cry a lot when I was first diagnosed, and would listen to it and be running and crying. People probably thought, well, who's that crazy lady? But I just think of my country roads back in England, and I just love that song. So that has become my comfort song.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. Heather, this was
Yep.
marvelous. Thank you so much.
Thank
For
you,
those of you who
Danae.
are listening, please reach out to Heather on Facebook. Are you on Facebook?
I am.
Yes, Facebook. So you can find her on Facebook in the Facebook groups, and just reach out if you want to connect with her. If you're in the Texas area, please make sure to attend the run if you can,
Yep.
and hopefully you'll meet up with Heather in person. That would be wonderful.
It would
So
be
we will see
great.
you guys
Yes.
next time.
Thank you.
Awesome.